My name is Samantha, and for most of my life, I chose ambition over affection. While others collected memories of weddings, babies, and messy breakups, I collected boarding passes, business deals, and glossy magazine interviews. At 50, I had everything society tells you defines success except someone to come home to. I told myself I didn't need love. I had power, independence, a stunning penthouse in Manhattan. But the truth was, I had grown used to silence. I had built my kingdom. Yes, but the throne was cold. That changed the day Ethan walked through my door. He was Janet's son Janet, my oldest friend, who now lived in Paris. She called me one evening with a favor. Could her son Ethan crash at my place during his photography internship in New York? He's low maintenance, she promised. You'll barely notice him, but I noticed. He arrived with a camera slung around his neck, a warm grin, and a presence that felt easy. That first night, he called me Miss Samantha, and I corrected him with a laugh. Just Samantha is fine. He smiled. That kind of smile that holds more than friendliness. We had dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and a bottle of wine. But the conversation didn't feel like small talk. He asked me about my career, like he genuinely wanted to know, not just to be polite. When I asked him about photography, his eyes lit up. I love catching people in their rawest moments, he said. When they don't know they're beautiful. I didn't realize it then, but Ethan was already seeing something in me I'd long since buried. Maybe you've experienced that, a look that reminds you of who you once were, or who you could still be. If this resonates, stay with me. Because what unfolded next still lives in my memory like sunlight filtered through soft, quiet, but impossible to ignore. The first few days felt easy. I told myself he was just a houseguest, polite, kind, curious. But then came the tiny shifts. The way he poured me a second glass of wine before I asked. How he lingered in the kitchen long after we'd finished eating, as if silence between us was comfortable. The way he noticed when I laughed without realizing, or when I brushed my hair behind my ear during a story. One night, he looked up from his laptop and said, "You have this glow when you're not trying. That's when you're the most real." I laughed, brushing it off. But I felt the flutter, the one I hadn't known in years. A pulse in my chest. A reminder that maybe my heart hadn't turned to stone after all. A few days later, Ethan asked if he could photograph me. I blinked. I haven't done a photo shoot since my 30s. And even then, it felt like pretending. "That's why I want to," he said. "Because you're not pretending now." His sincerity caught me off guard. But I agreed. We used natural light, no fancy setups. I felt awkward at first, too aware of my wrinkles, the lines around my mouth. But Ethan never looked at me with judgment, only with care. With awe. Then came the moment. He reached out to gently tilt my chin. His fingers barely brushed my skin, but everything shifted. Time slowed, air thickened, we didn't speak, we just paused. I stepped away, heart thudding. He hadn't crossed any lines, but a door had quietly opened and I didn't know if I could close it. By the third shoot, he asked if we could try softer lighting in my bedroom. I hesitated. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I didn't trust myself. Still, I nodded. That evening, he adjusted the curtains to let dusklight wash the room in gold. I sat at the edge of the bed, in a silk blouse and jeans. Nothing glamorous. But I felt exposed raw. Then, he asked something that stopped me cold. "Can I capture the version of you that thinks she doesn't deserve to be seen?" I couldn't speak at first. No man had ever asked me that. Not with reverence, not with such heartbreaking honesty. So I stood. Slowly, I unbuttoned my blouse. I let it fall, then stepped out of my jeans. I stood in my underwear, not trying to pose, just allowing myself to exist. He lifted the camera, then lowered it, and just looked. Not like I was older. Not like I was someone's boss or friend, but like I was worthy. Like I was art. He stepped closer. His voice was soft. "Can I?" I nodded. His hand found my waist. His thumb traced my rib. Then he kissed me, not with urgency, but like it was a question he hoped I'd answer. And I did. That night, nothing else happened. He went to his room, but his presence stayed in the air, wrapped around me like a whisper. At breakfast he offered me coffee, and when our hands brushed, I flinched. Not out of shame, but fear. I kept thinking, "You're 50. He's 22. He's your best friend's son," so I avoided him. I skipped dinner. I buried myself in work. That night, I found him again on the balcony. Camera set aside, eyes searching. I didn't mean to make things weird, he said. I like being around you. And I thought maybe you felt the same. I swallowed, my throat tight. Ethan, this shouldn't have happened. You're Janet's son. You deserve someone your age. Someone who isn't complicated. He smiled, soft and sure. You're not complicated, you're real, and I want to know everything. How do you explain to someone so young that you've spent your life believing love wasn't meant for you? That you've been alone so long, you've started calling it strength. You Dan single quotes T. Instead, I let him take my hand. And in that simple act, I realized I was falling for him. Not out of lust. Not out of loneliness. But because I saw myself in his eyes and I didn't look broken. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stood at my window, watching the city blur into streaks of light. My robe was loose. My heart, even looser. Then came a knock. I opened the door. Ethan stood there with 2 mugs of cocoa and a blanket. I thought you might need company, he said. We sat on the bed in silence, sipping warmth. Then I whispered, I don't know how to be loved. I've spent years pretending I didn't need it. He looked at me. No pity in his eyes, just truth. I'm not here to fix you, he said. I just want to be the one person who never asks you to hide. And something in me gave way. We kissed again. Not with restraint this time, but with release. The night unfolded not with urgency, but reverence. As if we weren't trying to escape our pasts, but to finally arrive in our present. We made love, slowly, like 2 people trying to remember how. The next morning. Sunlight poured across the counter as we sat with hands intertwined. There was no shame, no second guessing. Just a question echoing in my mind. What if this right here is what I've been waiting for all along? And now I ask you, if love finds you in a form you never expected, are you brave enough to let it in? If this story touched you, like, share, and subscribe for more tales that explore the forbidden and remind us of the kind of love that doesn't follow rules, it rewrites them.